Well, we're definitely starting to see an uptick in the severe weather on this Sunday, March 30th into the afternoon. Storm Prediction Center watching this region here across northeast Illinois, northern parts of Indiana, lower parts of Michigan for an increasing threat of some severe thunderstorms as our real big severe weather outbreak starts to expand. A major threat through today will be damaging winds. Out ahead of these storms, there could even be some independent cells, those supercells, if you will, that could rotate. And that could lead to a few strong tornadoes as well. But the damaging wind threat pretty high here in this region. We're also looking at a lot of hail, a hatched area out here right along the Mississippi River up into Indiana and Illinois. That damaging wind, of course, a big threat. Heading into tomorrow, that will shift off to the east. But today there's also a tornado threat. Tornado watches are also out for a couple of areas already. We've seen that through the afternoon. Going back to the Storm Prediction Center's data, if you look at it here, of course, they were talking about that area that we just looked at into northern parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. We do have a tornado watch out right now for southern parts of Illinois, Indiana. Head to weather.gov and get the latest there. But that's what we're looking at the time of this recording. This is likely going to evolve as we head through the evening hours. Tomorrow, that threat shifts off to the east. Nothing really changing here. However, watch Virginia all the way south, all the states here in orange, the potential for some strong damaging winds and even some tornadoes too. Not a huge risk, but nonetheless, we're talking about still a 10% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles. That's how this percentage is figured up, if you're wondering. Someone had asked in an earlier video. And then beyond this, we're looking at our next system that's going to move into the plain states. This looks really strong in the upper levels when you look at the dynamics, when you look at the wind field. So on Tuesday, we start to see that break out here across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois once again. And then, as we head long range, we're talking about day 4 now, this looks really significant for Wednesday from East Texas, the Texarkana region, northeast, all the way into southern Michigan. This looks pretty much similar to what we're seeing right now. Again, this would be for Wednesday's outbreak. Let's look a little bit closer at what we're tracking this afternoon. We're seeing this line of thunderstorms really continue to pump up here across Illinois, moving north and east toward Chicago, towards the northern parts of Indiana. This cluster of storms, anywhere we start to see bowing features, damaging winds possible at the apex of those bows on the radar signatures, and that looks to be the case. And embedded in this could be some tornadoes too. Further to the south, where you have more of, supercell type structures, this is where you're likely going to see more tornado activity. However, anywhere along this line, you could get some rotation. This is the 3K NAM model. It's pretty aggressive at keeping those cells pretty interesting looking, heading through the evening hours across southern Indiana, southern Illinois, now moving into parts of southern Michigan, central Indiana, moving through the state as we move into the evening hours into Ohio. But right along the Ohio River, I think we get a line of storms moving south and east through the evening hours with damaging winds, hail, all possible within these storms, and then south into Tennessee once we move into the overnight hours. Again, the risk continues overnight. Further to the east, this is just a bit of a different look. Now we're more into Tennessee and Kentucky, and you can see southern Ohio here. Those storms moving through overnight, right around midnight Eastern, somewhere in that range through Cincinnati. We should see the storm sometime around 10, 11 o'clock tonight. The same for Lexington, and then everything pushing off to the south and east. Knoxville, once the storms get head your way, we will start to see them weaken. It'll be an overnight event here. Nonetheless, there could be a few strong storms early in the morning on Monday overnight. And then as we head through the day, Monday, those storms start to pick up and translate to the east. So now we're looking into Georgia, South Carolina, and into North Carolina as the front sweeps off to the south and east. And it could be a Monday night into early Tuesday morning. Further to the south, here's a quick look at what's going on here. We do have the storms moving through southern parts of Missouri, West Tennessee, through the late night tonight. The time above my head here is Eastern time, so take an hour off for Central. And now the storms will be moving into southern parts of Arkansas, northern Mississippi. These could start to line up and not just create some damaging winds and hail risk, but also some really heavy rain too. So flooding a concern. And then look at the rain really picking up as we head into the early morning hours across Mississippi. Some embedded strong to severe storms with these, some damaging wind gusts possible as this front moves through, and then it pushes off to the east. As we head into the day Monday, this is interesting. Watch middle Georgia all the way down here into North Florida. This region right in here, that's where I think we have to watch out for some strong thunderstorms that could spawn a few tornadoes. As your low moves toward the Great Lakes too, I don't want to leave the cold side out of this. We're going to continue to see that ice and that snow in the northern parts of Michigan, also into Wisconsin. Freezing rain and sleet changing to snow before the precipitation ends. And then there's a look at that severe weather moving through Michigan as we head through the evening hours into Ohio. And then as we get into 10, 11 o'clock, these thunderstorms continue to work their way off to the east. I think they will start to weaken some as they move through eastern Ohio into western PA, but we're still under the risk of seeing some of these storms get a little bit strong, especially when we look at the damaging wind outlook. That extends as far east as Ohio, Erie, Pennsylvania, all the way north to Buffalo, even as far east as Syracuse. So while these storms will weaken somewhat, they're not going to completely go away. We continue with the snow on the backside of this. Thunderstorms, severe weather changes over to snow showers and flurries for Michigan. And then our storm threat pushes off to the east. Again, greatest from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and areas south of there toward the D.C., Baltimore area into Virginia, the Piedmont of North Carolina too. And then we're all done with it as we finally get into to Tuesday morning. Anyway, it moves off the coast. Those storms could be really strong overnight, Monday night into Tuesday, and then there they go offshore, and we turn our attention to the next storm that will start to form across the central U.S. As this one exits, here comes the next one with heavy snow across the mountains, deep low pressure developing across the plains. This one looks to me like a big wind maker, and on the northern side, from Michigan back into Wisconsin, even parts of Minnesota, North and South Dakota, there could be some heavy snow out of this. This storm doesn't look to be as really far south as this current storm that we're seeing, so I don't know that the southeast is under as much influence as high pressure kind of keeps you guys protected a little bit with the next one. All right, there's an update from the road. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.